The impact of this winter event is having in our area. I want to say thank you again to our citizens for staying strong through this, our staff for working around the clock for the community, and our local, state, and county, along with our national officials, for assisting us to overcome this historic winter storm. Today, our team will provide details on status on power outage, internet outage, boil water notices, how to report price gauging, FEMA assistance, and other operational updates. CenterPoint Energy is reporting that as of this morning, about 277 of Missouri City customers, which equates to 0.93% of their service area, were without power due to this weather. The utility asks that we all continue to conserve electricity and natural gas. These numbers are significantly lower, and we are looking forward to all households and businesses to be back online. Even though power is back for most of us, it is essential to conserve energy may affect due to this weather. So please keep your thermostats at 68 degrees or below and refrain from using washers, dryers, and dishwashers, and unplug all your other appliances that you're not using. Also, I received several calls regarding the internet outages, especially for N-Touch customers. According to N-Touch, as of yesterday evening, all outages were restored. However, if you're still experiencing these issues, please reset your router. If that still doesn't resolve, report the outage to ntouch.net, and technician will be contacting you. Now, today we have a lot of special guests with us today, but I'm more extremely excited to have our county judge, KP George, as well as our state rep, House District 27, Ron Reynolds. Before we introduce them, I'd like to just give you a lineup of who we have here today. After County Judge and State Rep Ron Reynolds, we will have Tramika Jules, our Emergency Operation Coordinator, will come and address some of the ongoing issues, as well as Todd Hoover will talk about water and utilities. We have our Mayor Pro Tem Maroulis, who's here with us, Councilmember District D, Floyd Emery, Councilmember District B, Jeffrey Boney, our Fire Chief, Chief Partita, our Police Chief, Chief Bearzan, and we also have our Constable from Precinct 2, Daryl Smith is here as well. We will have Q&A after this, towards the end, so if you're watching this, please write your questions that you needed to be answered in the comment section. So without further ado, let me introduce our Portman County Judge, who has been able to help us in the last 48 to 72 hours, getting us the warming center in Missouri City as a shelter now until tomorrow afternoon due to this weather. So, County Judge.
Thank you, Mayor. It is absolutely an honor and privilege to be here in Missouri City. I always said this, Missouri City is my home, and your needs are my needs. And I just want you to know that I myself was experiencing water problem, power issues, and all that stuff. Water is all over my house, even now. Why I'm saying this, because you're not alone in this deal, and we are not any special. That is the reason why I'm saying this. And it is, as Mayor rightfully mentioned, we are joined by numerous dignitaries here and important people in your city. It is only a common sense for me to work with your leaders of this city, Missouri City, when it comes to this kind of emergency situation. According to Centerpoint, as of this morning, almost 100% of power is being restored, other than maybe some sporadic places, maybe few homes don't have power. And that will come back because they are working 24/7. Their staff is working even in this freezing weather. And when it comes to another thing I just wanted to mention to you all is if you experience any kind of price gouging, and please go to Fort Bend County's, especially district attorney and also county attorney's web pages, and they have information available. You could report it. You need to report it, because if somebody take advantage of our vulnerable citizens during this inclement weather challenges, we wanted to know who they are. We wanted to prosecute them so that they don't do that again in the middle of all this stuff. But I just wanted to say, Fort Bend County, I am so proud of is we come together when there is any kind of emergency and make sure we are working together to make Fort Bend County better. And that is the experience we had with Missouri City and other cities, and Fort Bend County is always been, we call, a proud place, most diverse, with 122 languages are spoken, and with all that diversity we live together, and we live in harmony, and we care about each other, and I do care about you all. And we love to hear, if you have any issues. Of course, you have your city mayor and council members and all these leaders lined up behind, and they are obviously your first stop, and they know, I know for sure, they have an answer for your questions. And once again, we started a COVID journey last March. Soon it's going to be a year. And we came this far. And when it comes to Missouri City, we realize certain parts of Missouri City have a high concentration of COVID situation. And we make sure we opened a testing center in Missouri City at Marshall High School. And as our state representative, I definitely remember that. And so, after that, any kind of challenges come when it comes to vaccine distribution. We opened a specific facility at HCC facility in Missouri City off of Texas Parkway, and we were administering anywhere from 1,200 to 1,400 vaccine a day before this weather situation started. We will be reopening that, and I guess bottom line of what I am saying is, I care about you. Fort Bend County care about you. You are a citizen of Fort Bend County, and you have the full right to whatever the available resources with the county, you have the full right to ask for it. You need to let your city officials know. Obviously, that's the first step. And I'm here to help. I'm here to support in this difficult time. And we will. Today, as you can see, it's beautiful out there. It's going to warm up, and it is going to tomorrow onwards, we are now going to have a freezing weather situation. Hopefully, it never come back, at least this season. With that, I just wanted to say once again, with your struggle, with your difficulties, I am with you, and I know that each and every one of these leaders are with you. And let them know what you need, what your needs are. And also, Mayor rightfully mentioned about the help coming from FEMA and also Texas Department of Emergency Management, TDM. And we will be informing your local leaders as soon as we have information available, what kind of resources available from the federal government and also state government to deal with, fix your home or take care of your difficult situation. And once again, I am KP George, and I appreciate you gave me an opportunity to serve you as your county judge. Thank you.
We will now have our HD 27 State Rep Ron Reynolds.
Thank you, Mayor Ellicott, KP Judge George, our county judge. I'm so proud to stand here today as state representative for District 27. This has been a remarkable collaboration at the local level with our city leadership and our county leadership, working together with the state to collaborate. The Missouri City Warming Center that really has been a safe haven for those without electricity, those without water, was a collaboration of local government coming together to address the needs of the citizens of Missouri City and Fort Bend County, because it wasn't just exclusive to the residents of Missouri City. And I want to thank the mayor and the council members, city manager Otis Jones, our County Judge KP George, the offices of emergency management collaborating, our police chief, our fire chief. It really was a team effort of everybody coming together very quickly to assemble the resources and assets necessary to get it open, cutting the red tape. There was no waiting for the federal government. There was no waiting for any resources from Austin. This was Fort Bend County coming together to help our citizens. And that is what it's all about. And I really think that Mayor Allicat and council members and Judge KP George, this is a shining example that our federal government can learn from in terms of collaborating. There is no Democrat and Republican. There is no white or black or rich or poor. It's everybody working together as a team. And I am so very proud to be a resident of this city and of this county, the most diverse county, like our judge said, to showing at our time of need that people who care, people who, all of us, we had our electricity out. All of us had busted pipes and, water shortages. But we were able to come together to make the necessary sacrifice. And that's what you elect us to do. You elect us to make the tough decisions, to make the sacrifices. And that's what these ladies and gentlemen have done. And I want you to know that as we go forward, as we move to shed light and transparency on this great debacle that we have experienced as a state, there will be accountability. Starting next week in Austin when we have the public hearings, to hold the feet of ERCOT and the Public Utility Commission to task, to make sure that this never happens again, because this wasn't a city problem or a county problem, this was a state problem. And our Governor Abbott, he needs to take responsibility and ownership. We can't kick the can down the road. We can't point fingers in other directions. Texas is responsible for this debacle. And it is unfortunate. People have died, and we will make sure that this never happens again. There's no way that this should have happened to begin with, but we're going to fix those problems, and we're going to make sure that those who were responsible are held accountable. And so I'm finally want to just thank the men and women who have made tremendous sacrifices during this tough time. Our police, our fire, our EMS, those first responders have been working literally around the clock. They have been here, they have been working diligently, keeping our community safe. And our district attorney, Brian Middleton, our county attorney, Bridget Smith Lawson, all of our county officials have done a yeoman's job. District Attorney Middleton was with us yesterday, volunteering food and water at the Warman Center in Missouri City. So Missouri City and Fort Bend County is a special place. Our state government can learn a lot from Fort Bend County. Our federal government certainly can learn a lot from our local government here in Missouri City. And we're going to continue to work until everybody is restored. So I want to commend President Biden for making the declaration for Texas as a national disaster and offering the resources. We're going to work with our Missouri City Manager, Otis Jones, to make sure that Missouri City residents get the relief. Congressman Al Green is already on standby, doing everything he can at the federal level to bring those resources here locally to Missouri City and to Fort Bend County. And so we thank Congressman Green for his leadership. So it's a great, the Texas State Guard, we have to thank them. They were there yesterday, we greeted them, and they helped set up the Missouri City Rec Center and transform it so that people could be welcomed there and they could be at home while they were displaced from their homes. So it's certainly a collaboration. All of our community showed that we're resilient, and just like we overcame the problems from Hurricane Harvey, we're showing that we're Missouri City, that we're Fort Bend, and we're Texas strong. So again, thank all the people behind me and those people who aren't here in the camera that are working behind the scenes, working diligently. We have done, I think we've set a remarkable example of collaborating, and I, again, just am so proud to work with the men and women of Fort Bend County. So thank you, everyone. Let's continue to stay prayerful. Let's continue to conserve energy. Let's continue to remember that we're under a boil water notice. And I do understand, KP George, that they will resume vaccines today Dr. Mentor said that today started at noon. They will start resuming. So Access Health is sending out notices for those who missed their appointments. They're going to reschedule those, and they're going to even be doing them on Sunday to catch people up so they can get the necessary vaccines.
Make
So.
sure you have an appointment.
Yeah, make sure you have an appointment, but that information will be out there. People, check your emails. Vaccines will be resuming. And again, I want to thank Judge K.P. George and Commissioner Grady Prestige for making sure that we had that in Missouri City in terms of the vaccines. And also, we were one of the ones who have a hub for testing. Fort Bend is leading the way. Thank you so much for the great leadership. God bless you.
Thank you. Before County Judge leaves, I've just been notified that we have some questions for him, that if you can take a few questions.
Judge George, will there be any financial resources through Fort Bend County made available to residents who may need help with repairs?
That's what exactly I just mentioned. We are actually working with TDM and also FEMA. At the moment, I don't have any information with me, but we will, as and when it is available, your mayor, your local leaders are going to know about it, and I believe it is coming our way, but right now I don't have any information about it. But it is, I'm hopeful and also almost 100% sure there is resources will be available eventually. Any other questions? That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Judge George. So next we have our Missouri City Manager, Otis Jones, who's been working so close and so hard with us since last Saturday when we started this EOC. He has been behind us 100%, and his entire team, starting with Public Works and every other department that we have, especially Communications Department, putting all this information out there. So without further ado, let me introduce our City Manager, Otis Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, Missouri City. I want to thank our elected leaders for giving us clear direction and setting sound policy throughout the process here. There's a couple of things I want to cover with you. One, we're going to keep non-essential offices of the city closed today. And then secondly, you know, one of the things that I want to do is I want to thank our private partners and other non-for-profit partners who have been providing donations to the city. We greatly appreciate it. And then the other thing is, you know, we're moving right now, we're transitioning from a period of rescue to recovery. And as a part of that, we're working with our partners. You heard the county judge mention this, but we're working with our partners both at the county, state, and federal level. As you heard House Rep Reynolds mention, along with Al Green's office, to make sure that the current declaration that we currently have is assistance, financial assistance for cities and counties. We're asking to extend that to include resources to cover for our residents as well, who've had issues with their pipes, their roof, due to the freeze. So we have made that official request, and stay tuned. Our elected leaders have been working hard and representing you and making sure that they push that up to the top. But when I get additional information, I will communicate that to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have our Emergency Operations Center Coordinator, Tramika Jules, to come in and talk about highlights.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. As of today, we have had about 32 guests at our warming center. Our warming center will be open until tomorrow afternoon, as we do have one more night of cold temperatures. We do not currently have any watches or warnings in place. However, temperature is expected to go low again tonight and will be warming by Saturday afternoon. Residents are encouraged to hold tight another day and conserve energy and water. I would also like to remind residents to be aware of price gouging and report it. Fort Bend residents may report it to 832-471-1600. Again, that number is 471-1600, and Harris County residents may text complaints to 346-354-7459. Again, that number is 346-354-7459. Those numbers are also available on the city website, but if anyone has questions, please call 281-403-8500. Now we'll have our Mayor Pro Tem Arulis provide us with some additional important reminders.
Thank you, Tramika. It's an honor to stand before you. It's an honor to stand behind this team with our leadership of the mayor, our state rep, our city manager, and those you can't see behind these screens. I can't tell you how proud I am that we're serving you guys. Today I want to give you an update. Throughout this emergency, we've received so many complaints about plumbing, stores, and gas stations, and our staff has compiled a list on our FAQs to give you a list of those that are available. You can go to the main city website, www.missouricitytx.gov, and on the top of the screen you'll see an emergency alert bar, and at the top you'll see where it says FAQ. It'll also include your water boil alerts. Although we're working on an app to be able to push your notifications, we're not there yet, but we would like for you to please subscribe so that you can get alerts in the near future. Again, that's at the city website, and you click on tools and then notification, and you'll get those interested alerts. Finally, as you can see over the last few days, we are on the front line to help you. We're here to support you, your businesses, and all the stakeholders that are in this mess that we're in. We are going to work here with the city manager and communications to try to put together a volunteer program through our MVP so we can get some volunteers to possibly come out to your homes to do some triaging. We are not experts, but we'll be volunteers. Hopefully we'll get a good team together to come out and help you with those quick fixes. With that said, I will pass this on to Jeffrey L. Boney, council member for District B.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Maroulis. I am Jeffrey L. Boney, council member, District B, Missouri City, Texas. I just want to start off by saying and reiterating something that was stated, and I don't want us to lose sight of the fact that the city of Missouri City was prepared, is prepared to deal with any situation related to emergencies in our great city. And this is an unprecedented winter storm, something that we could have never expected, especially when the state failed us in a colossal way. We stepped up to the plate, each and every individual behind you and those that you cannot see, to execute and deliver on the preparation that we had to ensure that our residents would be safe in the way that we could do it. It was a heavy lift, but we got it done. And so we're here because of the fact that these individuals worked tirelessly to execute on the plans that we already had. So I want you to know and feel confident, Missouri City residents, that we are on top of everything, that we are prepared to handle these things, and we're going to look at all of our plans and make sure that they're strengthened, especially after this unprecedented situation. This is why we're called the Show Me City, because we're showing everyone in Fort Bend County and across the state and across the nation just what it means to represent in the way that we've had. So thank you, Mayor Ellicott, and my fellow colleagues on council, State Representative Reynolds, County Judge KP George, and everyone, especially our Missouri City staff, who have stepped up to the plate, as they always do, to take care of Missouri City. I want to just let everybody know a couple of things. As it was stated earlier, we are moving from response to recovery, so we're going to be working on ways in which we could get the information that we need to see about helping our citizens in the recovery mode. Also, it was mentioned by State Representative Reynolds that the Fort Bend County vaccination sites are open starting today at 12 noon to 6 p.m. Starting today, and from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on tomorrow, February the 20th. Make sure you have an appointment. Make sure you contact and look for emails and communication relative to your appointment and to get more information. Also, the municipal solid waste provider, WCA Waste Corporation, resumed services on yesterday, February the 18th, and residents are encouraged to place containers out by 7 a.m. On their scheduled pickup days. For additional updates, please call their customer service number at 281-403-5800. And also, Fort Bend ISD and HISD are still closed as well. And before I pass it on to my colleague, Council Member Floyd Emery, District D, I just want to say one of my mentors once told me that, Jeff, you don't have to have a title to be effective, but when you get a title, be effective. I want to thank all my colleagues, city staff, and everybody that's been involved in this for being effective. Thank you all, and I'll pass it now on to Council Member Emery.
Thank you, Councilman Boney. As I said, this Floyd Emery, council member for Missouri City, District D. Before I have a couple of announcements here, there's one thing I'd like to give a shout out is to the nurses that are in our warming center. They have really done a yeoman's job in accepting in our residents and visitors to the warming center. They're professional. They've been through it before, and again, I want to really give a shout out to them because they were an integral part of our operation down there. With that, beginning today, February 19th, the Quail Valley Golf Center will be open. Again, if you had tee times, you may want to confirm those and reschedule if you have to, but the golf course is going to be open for play. So if you have some additional time that you want to get out and exercise a little bit, here's a great opportunity to do that. The Bluebonnet Grill is open for lunch and for dinner. Tonight's fried fish, which is a real favorite at the Bluebonnet Grill. So they need your business. So if you want something that's good and convenient and close, please give them a try. Also, Metro Houston has resumed limited essential trips on February 18th. If you have any questions, you can contact them at 713-739-3823. And with that, we're coming through it. We're almost out on the other side, so let's continue to work together and follow the things that will make us stronger when we do come out on the other side. Thank you.
We have a couple of more people that will be speaking here. We have our fire chief as well as our police chief. But before we do that, I want to invite, and I know he doesn't have a lot of time, but our constable of Fort Bend County Precinct 2, Darrell Smith, to say a few words.
Good morning. I just want to thank everybody in Missouri City, all the elected officials, the staff that have pulled this together for the citizens of Fort Bend County as a whole. It has been very, very heartbreaking with a lot of the disaster with pipe bursting, power outages, but we have made it. Missouri City, all the elected official council members, y'all worked hard. We all have worked hard, tirelessly. We have been working since the first day, and we're still working. So continue to be safe, and let's go ahead. We're almost out of the water, so let's continue to work hard and be safe. Thank you.
Mario Partita, Acting Fire Chief. I want to first recognize, as many have done so, is our first responders that have been working tirelessly around the clock. Our firefighters, police officers, and EMS from Fort Bend County. We're still working. We're still here for you. We'll be here as we transition from the operations or response to recovery phase. We will be here in the coming days and weeks to serve you. So please don't hesitate to reach us if you have any need. As the weather is getting better, all of our roadways are clearing, but we do have another freezing night of temperatures. So please be mindful of that if you're traveling on those hours. Even though most of you have power, I want to warn about carbon monoxide poisoning. Please be mindful of inside cooking, using any heating devices such as your ovens, and do not use your vehicle to warm if possible. Make sure your vehicles are outside and not in the garage. I want to give you a few tips on some symptoms to look for in the event you are experiencing maybe carbon monoxide poisoning. It is an odorless poison, so the only way you'll know is through the symptoms. Some of those are dull headache, weakness, dizziness, nausea or vomiting, shortness of breath, confusion, blurred vision, and loss of consciousness. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms, please do not hesitate to call 911. Again, if you're away from your home due to outages, please be assured that fire and police and EMS are out there working for you. Some information on damages. If you have damages to your home or business, please make sure to document everything. This includes receipts, photos, and any insurance information you can collect. You may be able to submit damages incurred to FEMA. Please check the city's website for additional information and links to this information. The agency is working against scams, so please be aware of scams. If not linked through the city website or any other formal website, please be careful. With that, I'll now turn it over to Police Chief Mike Barrison, who will provide some operational updates.
Thank you, Chief Partito. This is Mike Barrison, your police chief here in Missouri City. I'm going to reiterate what our county judge has spoken of, and also Tamika Jewett, our emergency management coordinator, spoke of about price gouging. Price gouging is illegal, so if you're thinking about doing it to our residents, don't do it, because we will make sure we find you. For you all that might be the victim of price gouging, or you think someone's trying to do this to you, be aware that it is a violation of the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Consumer Protection Act. Anytime that the governor or the president, in this case it's been both, declares an emergency in the event that someone is selling fuel, food, medicine, lodging, building materials, construction tools, or another necessary item at exorbitant prices or excessive prices, and generally that's been recognized by the courts as over 25%. Each time the courts have to make that determination, but it's been recognized at over 25% of the normal market price. Or demanding an excessive price for any sale or services is also price gouging. So again, if you believe that you're a victim of this or someone's trying to do that to you, please report it to the Texas Attorney General's office. By statute, that is who has the power to go after persons that try to do this to our citizens. But before you call those folks, try to work it out with the business. In the event that you're getting services or goods from someone, especially services, be sure that person gives you a written quote. In the event that they decide not to give you that written quote, that should be your first clue that they're probably not a legitimate service provider. If you cannot work it out with the business or the service provider, then be sure that you have all the information you can possibly muster about the location or the service provider or the location that's trying to charge you exorbitant prices before you call the Attorney General's office. You can do it three ways. You can either go to their website, which is www.texasattorneygeneral.gov, and click on the Consumer Protection tab, or you can call the telephone number that is provided by Tamika Jewett earlier, or you can do it by mail at the Office of Attorney General, Consumer Protection Division at P.O. Box 12548, again, P.O. Box 12548, Austin, Texas, 78711. So whatever you do, do not sit back and just take this, because you certainly don't deserve it. And anybody that's thinking about taking advantage of our residents, don't misunderstand what I told you. We will get you. We're not going to allow you to get away with this. It may be not right away, but we're going to find you, and you're not going to do this again. So please heed my warning. Do not take advantage of our residents. Missouri City, we're almost out of the woods. We're on recovery phase now. Together we excel. We're going to stay Missouri City strong, and with the help of our county and state partners, we're going to weather through this horrible time, and we're going to see you on the other side. Thank you, Missouri City, for all you're doing. Stay perseverant. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Another key important person that I want to bring up is to talk about water issues. We have Todd Hoover, who's with us, who will talk about the boil water issue that we have going on, along with any other things that you have. So as he's speaking, if you have questions for water, power, internet, anything state related, county related, city related, please go ahead and make those comments in the comment section, so this way we can answer you. Top.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, Missouri City. I'm Todd Hoover, the city's utilities manager. The city has 34 municipal utility districts. The abbreviation is MUDs. We currently have 10 MUDs in our city that have boil water notices. They are Palmer Plantation number 1, Palmer Plantation number 2, Thunderbird Utility District System number 1, the west side, Harris County WCID Fondren Road, Fort Bend MUD number 49, Fort Bend MUD number 26, Fort Bend County WCID number 2, and Quail Valley Utility District Service Area, and Southwest Harris County MUD number 1. A boil water notice, as many people are asking, why is it taking so long to get off of the boil water? It typically runs about 5 to 7 days on average, and it's a process. So the municipal utility district operators, they have to fix the problem first, and then there's a process sometimes of needing to chlorinate the line very heavily, and that takes time over duration. Then there's a dechlorination and flushing process that occurs, followed by bacteriological sampling. So that whole process takes some time. The bacteriological sample itself takes 24 hours to get the results back. So why did we get into boil water notices? So there's several reasons why you have a boil water notice. In this instance, it was mostly because of the water distribution system pressure dropped below 20 pounds per square inch. The average operating temperature is usually around 60 psi. And the municipal utility district operators, in some cases, actually, with an abundance amount of caution, even if it didn't get at the 20 psi or lower, went ahead and issued a boil water notice just to make sure that our residents are safe. The reason why this 20 pounds per square inch number is the target is because when you have that drop in pressure, it creates back siphonage into the system, which could bring in contaminations issues, and so that's why we go through all of these protocols. So during the boil water notice period, the Centers for Disease Control recommends the use of bottled water for drinking and for prepared or cooked food. If bottled water is not available, we need to bring in bring your water to a rolling boil for at least a minimum of 2 minutes, and then allow it to cool. Do not use water from any appliances that are connected to your water line, such as your ice machine or the water from your refrigerator. And if you use formula for your child, use provided ready-to-use formula if available. In many situations, you could use the tap water with soap and water to wash your hands. If you don't have running water, which most of our water has been restored at this point, if you don't have, then you could also use hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. It is safe to wash your clothes as usual. Some of our residents do have discolored water, anywhere from like a light yellow up to a reddish color. If you have happened to already used heavily colored water in your clothes and stained them, there is a product called Iron Out, a detergent that you could purchase and likely get some of that reddish color out. Also, don't forget that your pets could get sick from the same germs that humans can, so provide them bottled water or boil the water and then allow it to cool in order to provide that for your pets. You can use the tap water, obviously, for your household plants and your gardens. That's all I have. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Todd, for that information. We will take any questions and answers that we have. This is the opportunity.
Mayor Elcat, we have a few questions on water.
Water, Todd, I think.
Can you talk about the residue that some residents are seeing in their water when they boil it, and if it's safe to drink or use?
So some residents are experiencing when you boil your water in the pot when you're done boiling it, or when you pour it into a glass, you'll see a white chalky residue. That residue is calcium. So what happens is when you boil it, the calcium comes out of solution. It's normally dissolved. It's the calcium hardness that's naturally occurring in our water. In Texas, we have hard water, and you normally don't see it. Like I said, it's dissolved. So in the instance where you're boiling it, it comes out of solution, so that's what you're seeing. The water is perfectly safe to drink. This is also a reason why you may have heard in the past where you need to flush your hot water heater annually. That also occurs in your hot water heater. So, you know, every year or so, you need to drain your hot water heater to get rid of that calcium buildup that is occurring in there, just like you're seeing now when you're boiling your water and you see that chalky residue. Again, it's perfectly safe to drink.
Can you explain how the boil water notice impacts restaurants?
The boil water notice impacts restaurants where many cases where you would go to a restaurant and they would automatically serve you water. They will not do that in these instances because they would be required to boil the water just like you have to do at your home. So they will only likely provide you water if you request it, and then they would have needed to boil it in that instance. So at this time, if you go to a restaurant, you know, again, you need to ask if their water is being boiled properly, and it's safer at this time if you go to a restaurant, maybe drink canned sodas and things of that nature.
Why did water pressure drop below 20 psi, and could something have been done to prevent it?
The reason why the water pressure drops below 20 psi is in the instances like we experience with all of these line breaks. Water distribution line systems break, the home lines break. Matter of fact, residents use 3 times more water during this event than normal. So when all that demand from all the system occurs, the water system and the water production facilities, they can't keep up with the demand. There were a few systems that actually went to the boil water notices because the groundwater storage tanks were depleted. They had to shut the systems off and then regain that water level in the ground storage tank and resume service.
How do we know the drinks, dishes, uncooked food like salads are safe to consume from a restaurant?
Yeah, we addressed that restaurant question a few minutes ago. Again, ask the wait staff about their procedures and processes that they implemented to make sure that they boiled their water properly, what procedures they went through in order to sanitize the equipment. So you have every right to ask that question from the business owner or the restaurant that you frequent.
Can you specifically identify what it is that people are seeing in pans or glasses after they're boiling their water?
Yeah, that's a good question. We addressed that a little earlier. Again, the white residue is going to be calcium from the calcium hardness in the water. If many of you have gone out of state, like Louisiana, for example, and taken a shower, and you got out of the shower and you felt like you couldn't get the water off of you, that's actually, they have soft water, and you're actually feeling your skin. In Texas, we have that calcium hardness, and it creates a film. So it's that calcium white buildup that's in the water that comes out of solution. Also, the yellow to reddish is iron, and if you actually see black in your water, some residents are experiencing that. That's magnesium. So you have iron and magnesium hardness. So those are the 2 compounds. So it's going to be calcium, iron, and magnesium. And those are naturally occurring in the water, and under normal conditions and circumstances, it's safe to drink the water in that instance.
Can you explain how we flush our broiler?
The boiler?
Boiler, I'm sorry.
Oh,
My
I'm
apologies.
assuming the question is, how do you flush your hot water heater? So on the bottom of a hot water heater, there's a connection that fits a garden hose. Some residents have hot water heaters in the attic. Some of them have them in the garage. So they'll be either in your attic level or ground level. So you need to safely read your instructions for your hot water heater. If you don't have them, then look it up online, but you have to follow the recommended procedures to do it safely. So electric hot water heaters, you need to pull the plug. For gas hot water heaters, you need to turn off the gas to the hot water heater. But also, this is about preparation. You need to make sure before you start anything that you need to know how to restart the equipment. Obviously, you plug it in for electric. For the gas hot water heater, you need to know how to safely relight your hot water heater. But again, if it's up in the attic, you need to have enough garden hose to connect it to the hot water heater, allow it to cool because it's going to be very hot, and then allow it to drain out, maybe out a window into your backyard. But do not, under any circumstances, drain that into a pan that's at the hot water heater. That's connected to a line that goes outside, but you can overflow that and create a condition where you've created a lot of damage maybe to your ceiling, and then so don't do that. You need to actually connect physically with a garden hose to drain it. And again, that should be done about every year or so to make sure that calcium doesn't build up in your hot water heater, and then you lose space over time and then have to replace your hot water heater sooner than you should have to.
Is there a place where water is being distributed?
We had mentioned that earlier yesterday, that HEB has provided some hot water heater. I don't know whether distribution centers. Okay. You want to?
Good morning. Right now, we are working with our county and state officials to find additional resources to distribute to citizens. If we are able to, we will push that on the website. And we also have additional resources about availability at stores on our website at this time. Okay, and we are working with some of our private partners, including CenterPoint, to potentially get water distribution for citizens.
And as an announcement, HEB Sienna Market, located at 8900 Highway 6, is open, and the Lake Colony store, located at 4724 Highway 6, will open at 10 a.m. Both stores received delivery trucks last night. Included in the deliveries were produce items and water. So residents, that's important to know. Mayor Ellicott, will there be any food distributions or bottled water distribution for the people of Missouri City?
Well, I think what Tramika had talked about, we're still working with state to get the water distribution. As for food distribution, we have several of our restaurants that's been open. I know Mayor Pro Tem started sending the city some of the restaurants that's been open since yesterday, and so is Councilmember Clauser and myself. Councilmember Boney. I mean, as we hear these restaurants that are opening, we're trying to funnel that list together so that we can get to you. I mean, we're talking not just fast food restaurants, we're talking places that you can sit down. But if you are going to a place where you're sitting down, again, as Todd Hoover just mentioned, do not be afraid to ask the questions of, is the water safe? Do they boil it? And the consumption that you're going to utilize there. So just make sure that we ask the right questions. Any other questions?
About 3 residents are reporting they are still without power.
So as we talked about, I think, Tramika, we had 23. As of right now, what's been reporting to us is about 23 homes that don't have power. So we are working with our central point, and I'm sure it could be an isolated, situation, but we will try to resolve that issue and try to get at least with Central Point to find out what's going on.
They can come to the warming center.
That's right. As Councilmember Boney said, that if they needed to be at a place, we have our warming center that's open all the way till tomorrow afternoon at 12 noon, which we provide water there, but you'd have to come to the warming center to get that.
Will there be any PPE and food distributions hosted by the city?
I know that we still have PPE that distribution at the warming center that we're using as for people who are coming in, making sure that they're COVID free and we're providing that to keep our state guards and our volunteers, and as well as our visitors who are at the center that would be there. But if we have, once the weather is back to normal, we definitely can partnership with our state as well as our county to get some PPE distribution out to the community. But as of today or tomorrow, we're not in that point. We're trying to recover. As the police chief talked about, we're in that recovery process. So we're going through restaurants, water, restoring water back to everyone, power, and those are the things that we're concentrating on right now. But the PPE will partner with state and county. We'll get those to you.
Food could be second mile mission.
That's right. So we have that a Houston Food Bank, Second Mile Mission, that's in Missouri City. Those are the areas that we can work with to get the food. And again, we will put that information out there on our city's website. But if you need to find out, you can also call 281-403-8500, and we will be gladly to provide that information to you.
Can the information about FEMA scams be repeated?
Yes. Who talked about FEMA?
Well, right now, we just want people to make sure that they document all their damages and collect receipts and photos. But as the question, for the question directly, is the city, if you're not getting direct links on our city website or on official FEMA websites, please do not go through unsolicited emails or phone call scams. So focus, please, on those confirmed sources like our city website and the FEMA website.
And I would say the same thing to that question to any homeowner who's looking for this information. Please look at our website. The city's website will always give the accurate information. And also, if you can call 281-403-8500, we will get you that information. Again, like Chief said, do not give your social security number, your phone number, any other valuable information to just anyone who's calling. Unfortunately, as the chief talked about, the pricing of gasoline, construction products, there's always people out there looking to make an extra buck or two. But our job as a city is to warn you to do not give that information out. But please do feel free to call us and make sure if there are reliable sources, which we provide on the city's website for that information.
How does one know what a normal and fair price is for plumbing to gauge price gouging?
Go ahead. I think you talked about that.
Normally, the courts have recognized that if it's greater than 25% of the normal fair market price, that's when the courts start determining that it's price gouging. Just to deviate a little bit from that also, I know we spoke of volunteers that may be willing to help you with home repairs or anything like that. Do not, I repeat, do not let anybody in your home that says they're from the city that wants to come inspect the interior of your home. Those things do not happen. If you are not certain whether they're with the city, dial 911 and tell them that you've got someone at your house claiming to be with the city. If they're legitimately with the city or with the county, tell them you're calling 911. If they stick around, they're probably legit, but wait for that police officer to get there to vet whoever that is that's attempting to get into your home to inspect your home. That's probably not a legitimate person showing up at your house. We've had that occur, not with this weather event, but in years past, we've had scammers try to do just that. So whatever you do, if you don't feel right about it, call 911. We'll send an officer out there or a representative from the city out there to vet this person or these people. So whatever you do, don't let anybody in your home. So hope I answered your question.
There are no more questions for this news conference. However, we do want to reiterate that HEB Sienna Market and the Lake Colony store will be open at 10 a.m. Both stores received delivery trucks last night, and included were water and produce items. Thank you.
Well, thank you for those questions. And if you do have further questions after this live stream is over, please feel free to go ahead and write your comments. We have our communication team standing by to answer some of these questions. If not, get with the direct departments to make sure that these questions can be answered. Again, lastly, I want to take this opportunity to thank our partners. Our state rep Ron Reynolds has been with us for the past 3 days, trying to help us to get this through. Our county judge, of course, our KP George, and our own team here, fire chief, police chief, and the men and women who are working behind the scenes, first responders, along with all others, especially our utilities, water, Quad Valley Utility District. I want to take this opportunity to thank them for coming to a couple of our live conferences to answer some of the questions to get things up. So if you're still without a power, if you're still having water issues, please contact us, 281-403-5300, just to make sure that we can engage in some of those issues that are going on. As the county judge said, we should be 100% with power for people. Lastly, I really want to take this opportunity to thank our council members. Councilmembers Boney, Councilmember Maroulis, Councilmember Emery, Councilmember Clauser, who's been with me in this EOC since last Saturday, working on your behalf, and then also our city manager, who's been here since Saturday as well, that's taking every step, directing us to go through this. This coming Thursday of next week, State Rep Ron Reynolds is going to have a hearing in the state capitol. Myself and council members are offering to you to come out there to talk about, if we needed to talk about our experiences. Our city manager already said, he's available to talk about our experience. So this doesn't happen in Missouri City or any other cities again. So we have a lot of faith in our leadership team here. And as Councilmember Boney talked about, we did work hard. We had a plan in place. We came before you to answer some of those questions. The road to recovery is going to take some time. Be patient. Still hard to get plumbers out there. Still hard to get, people who are, after the plumbing is done, to fix sheetrocks and repair your homes back to the way it's supposed to be. But continue to call us if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, and thank you again. And so we just have an announcement from Fountain of Praise, and they're going to have water distribution at 1 p.m. today. So I'm urging some of our residents to head out that way to Fountain of Praise at 1 p.m. and to get the water distribution. If you cannot get it to H-E-B and Kroger and Walmart and places like that, because what we really understanding is the fact that when you get there, even though they have a couple of pallets that come in, they're gone in an hour or an hour and a half, because that's how customers are coming out and doing this. But let's just get out there to Fountain of Praise, and I want to thank the leadership team over there. I think Reverend Remus Wright, who's been Missouri City resident, as well as the pastor of that church. I want to take this opportunity to thank him for his help in assisting us with this water distribution. We can't thank you enough, Reverend Remus Wright, and your entire church and your team. So some of us will be there to help you and to assist you with the water distribution if we need it to be. Once again, thank you, Missouri City. We're going to continue to weather this storm together. Tomorrow will be our last conference of this weather storm at 10 o'clock. But after that, we're going to continue to work with you, and we're going to be answering these questions through our website. So please, www.missouricitytx.gov and 281-403 5300. Please call us and let us know if there's anything that we can do to help you. Once again, thank you.